Actually, it is the the last lecture day, okay, for our class, okay, because on this coming Wednesday and next Monday will be our presentation,นะครับ. Okay, so let me talk about the presentation a bit,นะครับ. On yesterday, I received a message from some of you and asked me about the order of the presentation,นะครับ. So I will have to random it by myself,นะครับ, and let you know before the presentation day on our line group,นะครับ. The reason is because, okay, on last term, I just like set up the what to say, the Google Sheet and let you let the students to book the slot of time by themselves. Unfortunately, some of the team just replace the name of another team. Okay, I don't know whether they intend to do that or they accidentally do that. So it was just like quite a riot because like when I just like call the name of the team, okay, they said that okay, I booked this time, but my team's name is disappeared. So that's why I think this for this term I better just like set up the slot by myself. It is better,นะครับ. But I mean, I will just let you know before the exam. Sorry, before the what to say, before the presentation day. So that means around tomorrow, I'll just like let you see the slots,นะครับ, that each team has to present, and also,นะครับ, we will do like this when we do the what to say, slots,นะครับ. I will set the time up around like 15 minutes per each team,นะครับ, for each slot. So that means,นะครับ, in one day for presentation. That means on the next class,นะครับ, that means on this coming Wednesday, we may be able to present, theoretically it should be 6 teams,นะครับ, per one lecture day. So that means if,นะครับ, possible,นะครับ, suppose team, let's say if the 6 team finish presentation and we still have the time left,นะครับ, I may ask you to for volunteering if team number 7 would like to present or not, something like that,นะครับ. But if we are running out of time, for example, if we can just like present up to 5 teams only, if we can present up to like 5 teams only on the Wednesday, that means the 6th team will have to go to present on another day instead,นะครับ. Okay, right. So today, what are we going to talk about? Actually, we finish all the things that we have to know in our exam for the Power BI already. Okay, now there are a couple of things that I just have to let you know before we just like do the next thing,นะครับ. So some of you send me a message to ask me that after this class,นะครับ, do we have to use Power BI in other subjects or not? I can tell you that in other subjects, they will not teach you for Power BI anymore,นะครับ. But the things that you have to do is that anytime that you have presentation, especially when you have to study for some subjects,นะครับ, that you have to do something like the term project or something, and if it consists of lots of data, and you have to do the presentation,นะครับ. So I just like want to talk about like the way to use,นะครับ, or the software to use. You may use Power BI or you may use Microsoft Excel,นะครับ, in order to just like prepare the charts,นะครับ. So that means when we talk about the teaching,นะครับ, and learning for Power BI directly in other subjects, we don't have it. But if we have to just like do any presentation, especially for the quantitative data, นะครับ we always use either Excel or Power BI to just like prepare the charts or reports นะครับ okay so the next thing that we have to talk about is that okay I'll have to just like wrap up for the things that we learned for Power BI and then I'll end up with the final exam requirements that you have to know นะครับ and we are what we are going to do นะครับ okay so this one นะครับ everyone just start your Power BI นะครับ we will talk about like what we learned นะครับ from the very beginning นะครับ okay in Power BI นะครับ actually the things that we learned at the very beginning was that how do we gonna get the data into Power BI นะครับ I don't call it as import because actually for importing there are some parameters นะครับ the way that we basically do it we call it as getting the data into Power BI นะครับ so when you start Power BI already now let's see นะครับ the first thing that we did นะครับ the first thing that we did was that we just like go to get the data into Power BI so if it is the new file นะครับ new Power BI file นะครับ you have to know that the software we use is Power BI desktop นะครับ actually Power BI has like many software in Power BI but the one that we can use in your computer to analyze the data to clean the data and to prepare the chart is what we call Power BI desktop นะครับ in here for this kind of software we can just like get the data from other sources for example we get the data from Excel file from CSV file นะครับ the CSV is comma separated value files นะครับ or we can just like get the data from the internet that we did before so the things that we do is that once you see the yellow screen like this this is the first screen or the home screen of the Power BI you may just click get the data here or somebody just close this yellow screen first and then we can go to get the data so in this one we go to get the data in Power BI and normally we just like use it to get the data from Excel once you would like to get the data from Excel the things that we normally have to do is that we normally have to do is that we hang on let me just see Power BI. The things that we have to do is that we normally just like check first what type of data do we have for example suppose we say that we have Excel file normally when we have the Excel the Excel that we have may consist of many worksheets okay just let me just prepare the file for you okay in here we go to get the data actually if we know the type of the data that you would like to get into Power BI if you know the source of data you can just like click to choose the type but if you don't know but you just like have the location to get the data from Power BI you just click the to get the data in here and it shows a similar screen for example we choose Excel file and then you choose connect then we choose the file that we would like to get the data into this Power BI actually the Power BI is not the tools that we use to what to say to calculate the data basically normally if it's possible you try to just like check the data from Excel first And after that, you get into Power BI. The things that we try to do in Power BI is that, okay, for complicated functions that we did, for example, if you do pivot table or if you do the two tables array or we look up something like that, Power BI cannot do that because normally Power BI is a tool for doing the data visualizations. The things that you may be able to do is that clean the data. You may just like add some columns, do the measure, something like that, but not to just like calculate one cell at a time. Power BI normally it handles the whole set of data. That means if you create the whole, the whole new columns, that means every single cells in the column will be treated equally. Or if you just like want to find one value from specific columns, we do it in measure, just that. It's different from Excel that we just like do everything separately in each cell. Okay, so in here, once you get the data already, if your data consists of many worksheets, it just shows different worksheets to you. You can just make a decision whether you would like to get one worksheet at a time or whether you would like to get all of them. Once you click on each worksheet, in Power BI we call each worksheet as a table in Power BI. So that means in this one, if you have 7 worksheets in Excel, once you load the data into Power BI, we will have 7 tables altogether. Each table will have the relationship between each other. The things that you have to know is that normally Power BI will automatically create the relationships. The relationship is used for what purpose? Actually, Power BI will have to use the relationship in order to link to another into another worksheet. How do they link? The first one is that normally they just check from the field name or column name between each pair of table. For example, here, if you say that, okay, the table called categories have category ID column in the product. Okay, let's see the product table. What is it? You can see that it has category ID as well. They will be linked. They will be linked. So, but you have to make sure that if you see the similar name of the column, but they just like have something different. For example, one column has the name as category ID. The other table has the column name category and then space ID. This one mean different things. The things that you may have to do is that rename the column in Power BI, or you may rename that column in Excel first before you download, or before you load into Power BI, so that they can link automatically. So let's see. The next thing that we have to do is that once we know that, okay, this is the data that you want to load already, you may tick in front of the worksheet or in front of the table before you load. So in this one, you can see that once we load, you also have to check as well that it's possible that sometimes the data that you load may have like some what to say, uncommon rows. For example, in the customer worksheet that you are going to download into Power BI, the headings of this table look strange because it is not the common column name. It is column 1, column 2, column 3. Then you have to transform it. Bear in mind, in the exam, if you see like this, you have to transform it in Power BI. Don't do it in Excel, because normally, if I ask you to do, I will say that, okay, for example, I say that, okay, check the heading in Power BI. So the things that you have to do is that once you check already, and you see that, hey, column 1, column 2, column 3 is not the name, is not the correct heading names. The things that you have to do is that you go to Power Query Editor and fix it. If you fix it in Excel, I don't see what you did. I don't see the step you did for modifying the headings in Power BI, so you don't get that scoreนะครับ okay. Now let's see, the next thing that we do is that, okay, I decide to download every single worksheetนะครับ, or every single table in Power BI first, and then I just like clean the data. Okay, you can see that orders here is wrong tooนะครับ, because the headers are wrong, but I just like download it into Power BI first. Okay, product, yeah, this is wrong too, and then supplier seems to be okayนะครับ. And then if you click load, it goes to Power BI desktop main screen. But if you click transform data, it will load and then open up the tools in Power BI that we call it as Power Query Editorนะครับ Power Query Editor, in order to fix the problems that we found once we load the data into Power BI. In this case, I just click transform dataนะครับ, and then I just wait, because right now Power BI is just trying to just like load the dataนะครับ, into Power BI and then open up Power Query Editor for you. So you can see that once we download alreadyนะครับ, on the left hand side it shows all the table name or all the worksheets name. It's sorted alphabeticallyนะครับ. So in here I'll start from categories firstนะครับ. The things that you have to doนะครับ, when you go to Power Query Editor is that check for the completeness, check for the junk in your dataนะครับ, and manage it here. So this process we call it as cleaning the data or data cleansingนะครับ. For the process of data cleansing, what do we have to do? The first oneนะครับ, the first priority that you have to do is that you check for the headingsนะครับ, or the headers of that table, whether it's correct or not. Next, you check for the data typeครับ. After that, once you check for the headers and the data type already, the next thing that you may have to do is that you may have to check for some blank rowsนะครับ, or duplicate rowsนะครับ. In this caseนะครับ, I just suggest you that, okay, just clear out the blank row firstนะครับ. For duplicate row, sometimes some of the transaction may have some important meaning, so that's why they may have some rows that might be the sameนะครับ. Okay, in this case we will just like have to manage by cleaning on the blank row first. Okay, so you can see that for the categories table hereนะครับ, everything seems to be okay. Category ID is number, category name is text, description is text, and everything seems to be okay. Then I don't have to do anything with this table. I go to the next table, and you can see that in here the headings are not correctนะครับ. The headings are not correct. You have to fix it. And you can see that actually that the real headings is in row number 1. You have to switch itนะครับ, to be the heading instead. So the things that we have to do is that you have to go to Home tab and use first row as headersนะครับ. Click there, and then you can see that it just switched row number 1 we had before to be the header rows instead. So this one is okay. After that, you just check for the data type. It's all text, yeah. And when you see the content of the data, it should be okay. After that, because there are lots of data in here, it consists of 91 rows. It's not too much. You can scroll up and down and see are there any blank rows or not. If there are not any blank rowsนะครับ, okay, you just go to the next table straight awayนะครับ. Okay, but in this case, if there are or if there is a blank rows, you can click in the reduce rows here, choose remove rows, and then choose remove blank rows here. It can just clear out for youนะครับ. Okay, now we move on to the next table. In here, the headers, okay, it's okay. And in this one, you can see that in here, okay, the date, the dateนะครับ, like birth date hereนะครับ, you may set it up as date data type. This one is okay, but one thing นะครับ just a little bit นะครับ just a little bit you can see that for the what to say for the date data type in here, the problem is that when it shows like the wrong นะครับ when it just show it as the what to say the wrong year นะครับ something like that, it shows like um, the things or the improper year in here, because actually it depends on your regional setting in the Excel นะครับ so in this in the examination you don't need to change นะครับ just leave it like that, just leave it like that.
I'm sorry, but the screen is blank. We don't see the table on the screen.
Oh really, hang on. Oh, okay, thank you, thanks for letting me know ครับ Manit. Okay, it's here. Okay, now do you see the screen yet?
Yes, ka.
Okay, okay นะครับ okay, thanks for telling me ครับ okay, in this one you see the data type นะครับ that is date, and you can see that the year here นะครับ is the Thai year. So this one it depends on the regional setting นะครับ you don't need to change anything in the exam, leave it like that นะครับ as long as it's the date data type, that's okay นะครับ okay, and this one you can see that one thing that happens in here is that in the column called reports too, there is a now นะครับ be careful about this นะครับ the now here has its meaning นะครับ because you can see that this one is employees table, reports to here means that you report to someone, and because this person is the vice president นะครับ in sales department, he doesn't need to report to anybody, so that's why it's now นะครับ this one you don't need to delete this row, but if the name is now something like that, or if it has the first name but last name is now, so this one may have the problem, or the birth date is now, or the hire date is now นะครับ that one is strange, you may have to just like eliminate that data, but I mean like normally นะครับ before you just like clean the data, just check first whether it's logically it's reasonable to delete that data or not นะครับ if that row cause a problem, the things that you may have to do is that you may have to just click choose remove rows and then remove errors, something like that นะครับ this one okay, because it's not error, then I just like don't do anything with it. Now we move on to the next table. The next table here, once again, orders table here, the headers are wrong. You have to just like make the first row to become the headers นะครับ I just go to click home and then use first row as headers นะครับ so after that นะครับ the things that I have to do is that I check for the data type. Okay, everything seems to be okay. So for the date, sometimes if Power BI cannot detect that it's a date, it may show you as the text data type instead, then you that one it cause the error นะครับ it will cause the error, then you have to just like click and change the data type to be the date data type instead นะครับ and after that okay, we see chip address full, this one is in the text data type, yeah, that's okay. Now we move on, hang on, in orders table here, because you can see that if you have a look, we have 830 rows altogether. We don't know whether they have like some errors or not นะครับ we don't know whether they have some errors or not, so I mean like if you have like hundreds or thousands of rows or 100,000 of rows like that, we don't waste the time in order to just scroll and see whether they have like incorrect data or not. You have to use Power BI to help you นะครับ in this case I will choose remove rows and then I remove errors. Power BI will manage by itself นะครับ and also I do it again, I may remove blank rows from here, because it's possible that the row that I download from the file might have some errors, then I have to remove the blank rows out and errors row out. After that, in orders detail นะครับ in orders detail we just like have a look around a bit นะครับ you don't need to have a look on and scroll down up to 100,000 of rows here, but you just check for the headings, you just check for the data type, and then you just like use remove row to manage remove errors and remove blank rows. In here you can see that order ID is the number, it's okay. Product ID is number นะครับ it's the integer, it's okay. Unit price, it's the real number, that's okay. Quantity, integer, okay. And discount, it is real number, that's okay. So when it's okay already, we just like remove errors out, and I remove blank rows too. Okay, after that I move on to the next table, that is product table. Now the heading is wrong, we have to fix the problem. And as we studied before นะครับ we have a couple of ways in order to fix the problem. The first one is that you can see that when we have this นะครับ when we have this the first way is that you delete the first row first, and then you just switch the row, the first row, the new first row to become the headers นะครับ okay, so in this one I will delete the first row นะครับ I click remove rows, remove top rows, and I just want to remove the first row only for one row, and I click OK. And after that นะครับ this first row นะครับ is the row that we want it to be the headers already. Then we just like choose use first row as headers นะครับ now we get the correct headers already. After that, when we get the correct headers นะครับ if you accidentally did something wrong, for example, you just click it twice, and now it just like pull up the data to become our headers instead. So this one is wrong already. What are we going to do? You can see that in Power BI นะครับ in the Power Query Editor, it doesn't have undo step. The things that you have to do is that you go to the right hand side, you see apply steps, right? So the things that you have to do is that if you want to undo นะครับ that step, normally the latest step is on the bottom นะครับ is on the bottommost row of apply step. So this one นะครับ I just have to cancel change type first ครับ and then promoted headers. So you can see that this one it comes back already. If I still going on the next apply step, change type and promote headers one นะครับ it goes to the original data in here นะครับ you can see that in here. Okay, this is the things that we did before นะครับ these are steps that we did before. So the things that I have to do is that I have to just like redo it once again. I'll have to remove the top rows for one rows, and after that I just have to promote the headers นะครับ use the first row as headers instead. Yeah, so this is what I have to do นะครับ so when I just like have the correct headers already, then I check the data type once again. Product ID is the integer. Yeah. Product name is the text. Supplier ID is the integer. Category ID is the integer. Quantity per unit is the text. Yeah. Okay. Unit price is the real number. Yeah, that's okay. While units in stock, units in order, and reorder level, okay, they are all integers. That's okay. And this continue. This one is the logical values true or false. Yeah, this is what I want to do นะครับ this is what I want to do. So the next thing that we have to do นะครับ is that I will just remove the blank rows and errors once again นะครับ okay, so that I can clean this table นะครับ after that we go to suppliers นะครับ suppliers table, and we just check for the data in this table. The headers are okay นะครับ ABC data type or the text data type is okay for company name and country. Yeah, and supplier ID is okay too. It's a text, it's a number data type. When I'm okay with it already,นะครับ, in this one, it doesn't have any error here,นะครับ. It doesn't have any blank rows here. I don't need to do anything with this table,นะครับ. So when I'm okay with this setting already for the Power Query Editor, I will close and apply it. While I'm closing this Power Query Editor,นะครับ, it means that you just like really do with the data,นะครับ. Because I mean, like, while I'm just like doing the Power Query Editor, if I haven't closed and saved, it hasn't done anything yet with my original data,นะครับ. So that means if you go back to Power BI desktop screen, the data is still the same. But right now, when I click Save,นะครับ, and Apply, once I go to see the data in the Data tab here, you can see that if I go to Customer table, I check every table categories is correct,นะครับ. Customer table is correct for the heading, employees correct,นะครับ. Orders, yeah, headings are correct. Orders detail, yeah, correct. Product, correct. And suppliers, correct. So that means every single table that we managed it before in the Power Query Editor will be just like updated,นะครับ. So now we get the data already. And apart from just like manipulating or handling the data in every table, once you click Save and Apply in Power Query Editor, the another thing that Power BI does it for you is that it will create the relationship for you as well. If you go to the model, this one is to create the relationship. You can see that there are linkage among different tables that we have,นะครับ. What are they for? The linkage here helps us in order to do the visualization later. For example, suppose we say that, okay, we would like to know that who is the supplier,นะครับ. You can see that if we just use the product table only,นะครับ, the product table doesn't tell us who sells this product to us. The most at most we can have the column called supplier ID or the field called supplier ID, but supplier ID doesn't tell the name. The name of that supplier is located in suppliers table,นะครับ. So that's why we need to have the link like this,นะครับ. So that when we create the chart, it can just like show, you can also show the company name who sell this product to us as well. Okay, so in this one, you can see that every single table,นะครับ, has a link already. That means it's okay,นะครับ. So in the reality,นะครับ, also in the exam, it's possible that if you have the things like this, you can see that there is a table,นะครับ, in here called customer table. There is no link at all,นะครับ. So what are we going to do? When you see a table without the relationship to another table, you have to consider first, what is that table for? What does that table means? In this case, the table that is called customers, in this case, it should be the person or the company who purchased the product from us. When they purchase the product from us, where do we have to find? You have to find that, okay, when they purchase, all of their purchasing will be in the orders table. So that means in the order table, if you scan around this order table, you can see that there is a column called customer ID. And the customer table here has a customer ID too. So that means these two columns should be linked together. These two tables will be linked together. So you may just like fix this relationship manually. But I mean, most of the time, Power BI helps you. But I mean, it might be possible that some of the relationships might not be created automatically, then you may have to help. For example, how do you know that this relationship it should happen, but but Power BI didn't help you. In this case, suppose you create a chart นะครับ if you create a chart and if you say that you want to know that okay which customer purchased from us for how many orders, so you can see that in this case you can't find the name of the customer. The chart that you plot may show just customer ID only, so you know immediately that there must be something wrong with the name of the customer. Then you come to the model screen here, and then you will see the problems here. So in this one, I link customer ID together. The way to link is so easy. You just drag them together. Customer ID, you just then release add customer ID of another table. Then it will automatically create the relationship for you. You may just check a bit in here. You double click. And you can see that right now, the customer ID in the orders table is linking with the customer ID in customer table here. Yeah. And in this one, okay, you just click OK. After that, when you just go back to the visualize screen or to the report screen, it will be okay. The next thing that we learned from Power BI was that the first sheet or the first page of Power BI here, that once you start the new file in Power BI, it shows a screen like this. This one is what we call report screen. Normally, one report you may put one or two different visualization tools like a chart, like what to say, slicer, or the things that is related. But if you have like two different things or two different charts, for example, the first chart, if you would like to find or if you would like to show number of the, let's say, number of orders purchased by different customer, let's say, while another chart, you say that you want to know the amount of money we pay to each supplier. You can see that these two charts are different. You shouldn't put them in the same page. In this case, you choose just one page for one purpose only. For example, you say that you are talking about the number of orders sold to different customer. Okay, you put it in one page. And then for another page, it's amount of money you spend for each supplier. You create another page by clicking the plus button here, and then just put the suppliers related stuff in here. Okay, so in this one, you can see that each page can be accessed by just clicking on the tab. You may rename the page as well, and then just like type the things that you want to have. After that, you use the visualization tools in here, and then once you choose visualization tools, for example, if you choose the bar charts already, the things that we have to do is that we have to choose the fields from different tables that you want to have. For example, if you say that you want to know like order that each customer purchased from us, something like this, and then you choose something like this. Then you also have to check as well that is it proper or not. In this case, if you know that, hey, customer ID doesn't work because customer ID is not the name of the company, then you may say that, okay, instead of having customer ID, you may say that, okay, you use company name instead, something like that. So it depends. If you say that it's not proper, you just change the data type or just move the data or the fields that you want to have instead of just like using the default one. You have to see as well that whether your chart works properly or not. In this case, you can see that in here, the x-axis, it shows the quantity, that's okay, but in here it shows order ID, it doesn't work. in here you may say that okay, you have to choose like some other kind of the chart, or you may have to shift the field instead in here. If you say that okay, this chart is not okay, you don't want it, you may click on the chart and then you choose like other chart type instead. Or if you say that you want to eliminate the chart, you may just click on the three dots on the top right corner of the chart and then choose delete remove to delete that chart.